Under the soft glow of Atlanta's evening streetlights, Amanda Carter sat behind the wheel of her sedan, the faint hum of jazz on the radio easing the weight of her long day. Amanda, one of the few black judges in the state of Georgia, carried the gravitas of her position with grace and resilience. For years, she had battled prejudice and systemic barriers to reach her esteemed role. Tonight, however, would remind her that even her title could not shield her from the pervasive bias she had spent a lifetime fighting. Born in Atlanta's bustling but humble Edgewood neighborhood, Amanda's upbringing was shaped by determination and faith. Her father, Samuel Carter, a passionate civil rights attorney, had spent decades advocating for the disenfranchised. Her mother, Louise Carter, was a dedicated schoolteacher who instilled in Amanda the power of education and the stories of trailblazers like Ida B. Wells and Fannie Lou Hamer. The law can be a tool of oppression or liberation, her father often said. Your job is to ensure it bends toward justice. These words became Amanda's North Star, guiding her through a childhood marked by overt racism and subtle undermining. Teachers doubted her aspirations of law school. Peers questioned her audacity to dream big. But Amanda thrived, channeling skepticism into determination. Through high school debate teams and law school trials, she emerged as a sharp legal mind and a voice for the voiceless. By the time she was nominated to the bench, Amanda Carter had become both a symbol of progress and a target for criticism in equal measure. It was on this quiet evening, driving home after a long day presiding over cases, that Amanda's composure would face a test unlike any other. A sharp wail of sirens startled her, the glaring red and blue lights in her rearview mirror slicing through her brief moment of calm. Confusion mingled with unease as Amanda carefully pulled over to the side of the road. The officer approached her car with a deliberate stride, his flashlight sweeping across her vehicle's interior. Officer Stephen Grant, a middle-aged man with piercing blue eyes, didn't make eye contact as he demanded license and registration. Amanda's instincts, honed over years in the courtroom, kicked in. Officer, may I ask why I've been stopped? She asked, her tone measured but firm. Grant's response was curt. We received reports of a vehicle matching this description leaving the scene of a crime. Amanda's heart sank. She had heard these words before, though never directed at her. I just left the courthouse after a full day of work. This must be a mistake, she replied, her voice steady despite the tension rising in her chest. Grant's smirk betrayed his intent. Mistake or not, it's my job to investigate. Step out of the vehicle. Amanda knew her rights. Without probable cause or a warrant, the officer's demands were legally unfounded. Officer Grant, she said, keeping her voice calm. Without cause, you cannot search my vehicle. I would like to understand the basis for your suspicion. Grant's demeanor shifted, his posture stiffening as if her knowledge of the law was an affront. Step out of the car. Ma, he barked, his voice sharp and commanding. Amanda's resolve didn't waver. Officer, I'm Judge Amanda Carter. I understand my rights, and I'm recording this interaction for transparency. She placed her phone on the dashboard, the red recording icon glowing like a beacon of accountability. Grant hesitated, the weight of her title evident in the flicker of uncertainty that crossed his face. But instead of de-escalating, he leaned closer to her window. I don't care who you are, he sneered. Right now, you're just a suspect. Before the confrontation could escalate further, a second patrol car pulled up. Out stepped Chief Walter Davis, a seasoned officer with a reputation for fairness. Davis's presence immediately shifted the dynamic. Grant, what's going on here? Davis asked, his voice calm but firm. Grant straightened, his tone subdued in the presence of his superior. Sir, this vehicle matches the description of one involved in a crime. Davis turned to Amanda, his expression apologetic. Judge Carter, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. May I ask where you've been this evening? I've just left the courthouse. I've been at work all day, Amanda replied. Davis nodded, his keen eyes taking in her demeanor and the details Grant had neglected. Turning back to his officer, he asked pointedly, Grant, do you have any corroborating evidence? Was there a plate match? Grant's hesitation was answer enough. "Return to your vehicle," Davis ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Judge Carter, I deeply apologize for this. Please, continue on your way." As Grant retreated, Amanda remained composed. Though the encounter left her shaken, Davis's apology was sincere, but it couldn't erase what had transpired. Amanda thanked him and drove away, her grip on the steering wheel tighter than before. Back home, Amanda's emotions surged. Anger, frustration, and exhaustion mingled as she replayed the encounter in her mind. The dignity she had fought so hard to uphold had been reduced to suspicion in an instant, not because of her actions but because of her race. A text from her neighbor, Eleanor Wright, broke her spiraling thoughts. "Amanda, I saw the whole thing from my window. I recorded it. Let me know if you need the video." Amanda's resolve crystallized. This was not just her story. It was a reflection of systemic issues that had long plagued her community. She replied, "Thank you, Eleanor. Please send it over. This needs to be addressed." By morning, Amanda had watched the video, its clarity undeniable. She shared it with her trusted friend and colleague, Jonathan Hayes, a prominent civil rights attorney. Together, they discussed next steps. "Amanda," Jonathan said, his tone serious, "this isn't just about you. It's about everyone who's been unjustly targeted. Are you ready to take this public?" Amanda nodded. "If I stay silent, I'm complicit. Let's make sure this sparks the right conversation." The video was sent to a local news outlet, and within hours, it went viral. Amanda's story became a lightning rod for discussions about racial profiling and abuse of authority. Interviews, press conferences, and public forums followed, each amplifying her voice and the systemic issues her experience highlighted. 1 week later, Amanda stood before a packed auditorium at a community event. "This isn't just about my encounter," she said, her voice steady and powerful. "It's about the countless others who face this daily. We must demand accountability and work toward a system that serves everyone equally." The crowd erupted in applause, a testament to the movement Amanda had ignited. Her story, while deeply personal, had become a rallying cry for change, a reminder that even in the face of prejudice, resilience and unity could pave the way for a fairer future. In the weeks following her speech, Amanda worked tirelessly to harness the momentum of public support. She collaborated with activists, legal scholars, and community leaders to draft comprehensive reforms aimed at addressing systemic bias within law enforcement. Her proposals included mandatory bias training, independent oversight committees for police misconduct cases, and transparent reporting practices for officer accountability. Her efforts drew the attention of national organizations like the NAACP and ACLU, who invited Amanda to speak at larger forums. In one such event, Amanda recounted her experience not as an isolated incident, but as part of a broader narrative of systemic inequality. When authority becomes a tool for oppression instead of protection, it betrays the trust of the people, she declared. Her words met with thunderous applause. Meanwhile, Eleanor's video continued to circulate online, sparking conversations far beyond Georgia. Social media hashtags like #JusticeForAmanda and #ReformNow trended nationwide, amplifying the urgency of the movement. Stories from individuals who had faced similar injustices began pouring in, turning Amanda's fight into a collective effort. One evening, Amanda received a call from Senator Harriet Langston, a vocal advocate for justice reform. "Judge Carter," Langston began, "your courage has inspired millions. I believe it's time we turn this momentum into legislative action. I'd like to work with you to draft a national bill addressing police accountability." Amanda was humbled but resolute. "Senator, it would be an honor. Let's ensure that no one else has to endure what so many already have." Over the next few months, Amanda traveled across the country, attending town halls and listening to the voices of marginalized communities. Each story she heard reinforced her commitment to change. In a small town in Alabama, she met 72-year-old Helen Parker, who shared her own harrowing experience with law enforcement. "I never thought anyone would care about what happened to me," Helen said, her voice trembling. But seeing you fight gives me hope. Amanda held Helen's hand, her own voice steady with conviction. Your story matters, Helen. Together, we'll make sure it's heard. Back in Georgia, Amanda's courtroom became a place not just of legal adjudication but of advocacy. She launched an initiative to educate young attorneys on civil rights law, emphasizing the importance of equitable justice. The law can change lives, she told her students, but only if it's wielded with integrity and courage. As public pressure mounted, Officer Grant faced an internal investigation. The findings revealed a pattern of misconduct, leading to his dismissal. While Amanda took no joy in his downfall, she saw it as a step toward accountability. The reforms Amanda championed began to take shape. Georgia implemented new policies mandating body cameras for all officers, creating an independent review board, and requiring cultural competency training. Amanda knew these changes were just the beginning, but they represented progress. On the anniversary of her encounter with Grant, Amanda stood before a crowd gathered outside Atlanta City Hall. 1 year ago, I was reminded of the work that remains, she began. Today, I see a community united for justice. Together, we've proven that change is possible when we refuse to stay silent. As the crowd cheered, Amanda felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her journey was far from over, but she was no longer walking it alone. The voices of those she had inspired now joined hers, creating a chorus too powerful to ignore. And with each step forward, Amanda Carter continued to bend the arc of history toward justice.